Hello, welcome to Call the Wild Outdoors live show. We will have a fishing report tonight, and I will have a video coming out later tonight of my hour and 45 minutes spent on the water last night. As a lot of people know, the Benzie Frenzy is happening this weekend out of Frankfurt Harbor. It's a good sized fishing tournament, so if you're planning on fishing out of Frankfurt and you're not part of the Benzie, be aware there's going to be a lot of boats out there, especially in the mornings. I think they're done fishing by 2 or 3. Hi, Pat. So, the evening fishing, I'm sure they'll be out trying to locate fish and everything else, but the evening fish should be a lot better. Tomorrow starts the ladies tournament, so there'll be, I believe it's a 6 or 6:30 takeoff time, and it'd be a shotgun start, so just be aware of that. You might want to get out before 5. Anyways, it's better fishing. Now I'm going to tell you, since I typed up the fishing report at about 1 o'clock in the morning last night, temperatures have changed out of Frankfurt, at least from the reports I got today. Apparently the temperature is now down at 110 feet. I went through and I was looking at my video from yesterday, and where I was fishing at, and how I got lucky enough to find this I don't know, because I had a temperature break at 25 feet, and I was graphing bait fish there, and then it stayed pretty much the same temperature all the way down to about 70 feet, and then it jumped. It started climbing. Now, I don't have a probe. I run a Helix, and you can tell by the coloring, there's a graph on the side on water temperature. So the guys that were complaining about the temperature break today, I don't know if they just lowered their probe down or if they went slow to try and find it, but apparently, and what I'm going to assume is that there's a cold water level in between the two worms, because I didn't have any problem with fishing last night. Graphed a lot of fish, but when I got into the fish cleaning house, it hadn't been used yet, and there was quite a few boats out of my marina that had gone out. They came in after I did. Nobody came up to the fish cleaning house until Captain Dan came in, and he was up in Platte Bay, which is where I was trying to get to, but the fog locked me out of there. I couldn't see to get in, and Platte Bay is pretty treacherous if you're coming in from Lake Michigan. There's basically, if you go in almost due east at the mouth of the river, you can get in safely and then scoot over to East Bay. I know that area pretty well, scooting into East Bay from the mouth of the river, but there's some big rocks in Platte Bay, so it's not a place to play around if you don't know what you're doing, or go in when you can't see. If I'm going into a new area in Platte Bay, I always slow down to a crawl. I'm up on the bridge and watching for the rocks, because you can be in 100 feet of water and smack a rock. So anyways, I didn't make it into the bay. I got up around Point Betsy Lighthouse, and the fog got so thick I couldn't see 100 feet, so I just slowed the boat down, turned out to the west, and went and found myself 77 feet of water and started trolling back. I wasn't going to stay out long. I wanted to make one pass. I didn't even make one full pass. I had 4 fish on total. I caught 1, and as soon as I put that in the cooler, I started pulling lines basically, and went in while it was still daylight, because there was 200 boats around the harbor entrance, and the way it's been running, they're blocking their lights, they're not turning on their lights, and it's just a mess trying to weave in and out of these boats to get into the harbor entrance. Now, last night the Coast Guard and the conservation officer was out there. They no longer allow anybody to stay on plane until you get to the canal. It's a no wake zone according to them, starting at the pier heads, even though it's not marked. According to some captains that I've talked to, they're FOS, but You don't argue with the Coast Guard. You don't argue with the Conservation Department. The Coast Guard will rip your boat apart. They will find something wrong. I don't care if it's a brand new boat. They'll find something wrong with it. And Conservation Department is the Conservation Department. They'll find something wrong as well. So just keep that in mind if you're going out of Frankfurt Harbor, that they're enforcing rules that actually are not completely legal right now. From what I've been told, if they write you a ticket and you go to court, you'll win. But it's probably a good thing if they do make it a no-wake zone. There's a lot of people that fish out there anyways in small boats, and they don't need to get waked by some of the bigger boats that go out there. Yeah, Pat, it's definitely all about the money. But, I wasn't much over 1,000 RPM when I was coming in. I just wanted to keep control in the wind. We had a south wind yesterday, and it was coming over the pier heads, and my boat's a little on the tall side and not real heavy, doesn't sit in the water deep, so it gets pushed around a little bit by the wind. So I was just trying to keep a straight line, and he come over and blue lighted me, and I didn't get no ticket or nothing. He just asked if I knew that it was a no-wake zone, and I said, no, I didn't. He said, well, it is, and he says, we're going to start enforcing it, and he says, so just so you know, have a nice day, and away he went. And that's pretty much what they're doing. And the Coast Guard was pretty much keeping the guys. They put in 4 buoys this year in the main channel to keep the jiggers out of it, because the guys jigging were basically bow to stern all across the entire area there, and it was hard to get through them. So they closed that area off. That's another thing. Them buoys are not lit at all. So when you're motoring through there, of course, all of Betsy Lake is a no-wake zone, so you just want to go and pay attention to them. They're within 100 yards of the canal that passes in front of the Coast Guard station. So here's a picture of the fish that I got last night, and I got them on one of my new flies, which I tied up a couple yesterday to give to some friends so they'd have them for the tournament. But one guy was telling me I should be selling them, but I don't know if anybody would be actually interested in them, but who knows. I had 3 hits on the fly last night, 1 double on. I lost both the fish in the double. The one fish wrapped himself around the Dipsy line, which was completely my fault. I reset the Dipsy to fish the right side of my boat on Saturday when I took that guy out over a week ago, and I never turned it back. I just threw it in the water because I'm so used to having it run off the port side of my boat, and I was being pushed by the wind and drifting enough I didn't notice that it was actually where it wasn't supposed to be. So yeah, he got wrapped around my line, and then when the other fish bit it, he came off the line, and then I fought the first one on the fly, or the second one. That was the second hit on the fly. I fought him for just a couple of minutes. He never released the Dipsy. I have a feeling it was a small coho, because he was definitely ripping on that rod, and but just didn't get the hooks buried, and everything else is, every king that I've caught on that fly, and let's see, I've drug it 3 different days now, and always within 10 minutes, 15 minutes of setting it down, I've got a fish on. But the ones that I've caught with it, all 3 of the treble hooks have been buried, just buried. There's no way to get them out without pliers, and so the fish that was on there, he either bit the board, the Dipsy, or in front of the fly where he didn't get the hooks. And coho are pretty notorious for that, so that's all I got to assume. But anyways, I reset the rods, and 10 minutes later got this guy, and he was like 13 pounds is all, so nothing super huge, but at least I wasn't skunked. I was out an hour and 45 minutes, and I wanted to get back in before dark because there was still a nice little fog bank there, even though I could finally see shore. There was enough fog there and enough small boats out there that I just wanted to be able to see. and I had the bug to get out fishing. I wanted to get out last weekend, and I pulled my leg out of socket on Friday, and by Friday it woke me up in the middle of the night. I couldn't lay down, I couldn't sit down, I couldn't do nothing. It just, you know how your elbow gets out of joint, and you give it a little pop and it snaps back in place, but that pain that you get, well, times that by 50, that's what that leg was doing to me. And I couldn't even really walk on it until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon Saturday. And then by Sunday, I was walking pretty good, but I was afraid to get in that boat because of the way I sit in there. I knew that that was probably something that would aggravate it. So, we'll do the fishing report in about 5 minutes. But, magnetic dipsies? No, I have not. My Dipsy don't normally have a lot of pull on it, so I was actually shocked last night when it didn't pop. Because normally a good wave will pop it. But anyways, I may put some of them flies on my website for sale. Probably, $6-7. I gotta figure out what I got into them. The fly that's been producing has got green glow beads. It's got a chartreuse glow nose. It's got some sparkly skirting, some glow skirting, some blue and green. So, oh, that's always fun. And there's always one bolt on the CV axle on the driver's side that never wants to come out. Every Chevy I've ever done a CV shaft on, there's always one bolt that you got to try and lock the thing in place and put a cheater bar on it. Then you got to play games with a shock absorber to move that out of the way so you can wiggle that thing up and out of there. Unless you were redoing the bearings as well. Yeah, we had 3 to 5 foot waves last night. I'm going to call them a good steady 4. But the nice thing about them is they were pretty far apart. So instead of being slammed all around in my boat because they were catching the corner or catching the side and really rocking and rolling, my boat was just kind of acting like a bobber all night. Could have fallen asleep out there easily. I'm sure it gave good action to the lures as well. But all my bites came at 64 and 67 feet deep. So 67 had 3 bites. That was where the Dipsy was running approximately, and 64 feet on the downrigger. And the fish that I caught, I actually kind of watched that bite on the fish finder. Oh, that's always fun. I did that on one of our work trucks this spring, changed both upper control arms. I went to change just the ball joints, but somebody had changed the control arms already, and they had a bastard sized ball joint in them that nobody could find. So I ended up just replacing the control bar, or the control arms themselves, and then the lower ball joints on both sides. Hey Maddie, how's it going? Was it hot down in Florida today? Anyways, I plan on getting out in the evening tomorrow. I got some stuff to do in the early afternoon, so I gotta run into Traverse City for a little bit, get some oil for oil changes on my car, and I think I'm gonna do my boat. Alright, well, let's see here. Let's go ahead and do the fishing report, and we'll see how that goes. Alright, we're going to start out at St. Joe. Salmon fishing's difficult in St. Joe due to the very warm water. Guys are doing a lot of searching for the fish, and but not much catching, unfortunately. The perch fishing is also slow, but a few fish are being found 35 feet of water and a little bit deeper. Try and find some structure, and maybe you can catch some nice perch dinner, which actually sounds really good right now. South Haven, salmon fishermen are finding a few fish in 100 feet of water and deeper, but they are small pods of fish. Let me get some more light on the subject here. Okay. And they're very far between. They're using blues, greens, in as deep a water as you can find, and fishing within 15 feet of bottom. Like I said, the water down there is real warm. Well, I think the wind pushed all that warm water up to us last night. If what I heard today is true. Grand Haven, lots of boats trolling around the pier heads, but the action is slow. The water's warm there as well, so it's too warm for them to hang around them pier heads. The guys fishing out to 180 feet of water are doing fair. They're running their lines 45 to 100 feet down using glow spoons, glow plugs, meat rigs, and flies. A few salmon are being taken from the pier casting glows after dark. Best times are after midnight, so they're coming in, getting some of them alewives and stuff. Same thing as in Frankfort, and I'm sure most every pier on Lake Michigan right now. Muskegon, a few salmon are being found in 70 to 100 feet of water, fishing the range from 45 to 100 feet down. Glow spoons and plugs seem to be best there. Pentwater, bad weather has kept my contacts in. However, I was told a few guys that are getting out are getting a few fish. Glows, greens, and blues, fishing mostly 100 plus feet of water. Ludington, guys, Ludington's hit or miss again. The guys that know the area are going to be into the fish. That's home field advantage. But there's some fish in the Pier Marquette Lake. Getting them to bite seems to be a real pain in the neck. The guys are getting out very early morning or late evenings. After dark seems to be the best bite. Fishing out on the big water is decent to good, but you got to find temp. Once you find the temp and you find some bait fish, you want to troll greens, blues, and glows. Greens, blues, and glow plugs, glow flies, and meat rigs. We're getting a few hits also. Manistee, the fishing for salmon remains pretty good. Again, the Manistee report is from Tuesday. It's bites early in the morning, and they're coming fast and furious. And then late evenings, it's a bit slower, but again, it's still very productive. Some fish are gathering close to the pier heads, and a few fish are being caught. Glows again, early morning there. And then once it starts to get daylight, they're switching to blue and chrome, green and chrome. Just about anything with chrome, I guess, is doing pretty good. and they're still running the glow plugs and flies during the day and doing pretty good on them. But they're switching over a lot, like I said, to them glows, or not the glows, the chromes, and they're also changing to the J plugs and stuff, and that seems to be the ticket down there. Onekama, they're still getting good king action. Early in the morning, late evening, 65 to 100 feet of water, 15 to 65 down. Plugs, flies, and meat rigs. Spoons work, but are a little slower. You want to use glows, blues, and wonder breads in the spoons. Excuse me. Arcadia, the guys are still catching fish there, getting good numbers of them, kings and a few cohos, few steelhead, and they're working 45 to 150 feet of water, so that's a pretty wide range. But the times that I've trolled down in Arcadia, it's a lot like Frankfurt. There's not a whole lot of distance between, depending on where you're at, between 45 feet of water and 150 feet of water. I know in some areas, like down by Ludington, it can be a long ways. Frankfurt, it's 10 minutes of trolling at trolling speed. Arcadia, I think it was a little bit longer than that, but not much. It gets deep pretty quick down there by Arcadia as well. Let's see, the late evenings, the color don't seem to matter, especially early in the morning. They're just whacking anything that comes by them by the sounds of things. And spoons, flies, meat rigs, J plugs. The way the one guy put it to me, he could put a salt and pepper shaker on it, put a hook on it, and he'd catch a fish. So, but again, that's before light. Once it gets light, it's like a switch is turned, and they slow right down. So, Frankfurt, okay. Frankfurt, this weekend's a Benzie Frenzy salmon tournament, as I've stated before. So it'll be a bigger zoo than what it normally has been in the past 2 weeks, and it's been pretty bad the past 2 weeks. This report again is from yesterday and previous. From what I've been told, it has changed today, but basically there's fish everywhere. 35 feet of water to 500 feet of water. They were jigging in the lake. They've been jigging in Betsy Bay, I should say, Betsy Lake, whatever you want to call it. It's a drowned river mouth. They've been jigging there. That action's a little bit slow, but they are picking up a few. Again, you got to find cold water right now. Blues, glows, greens, and oranges are working with plugs, flies, spoons, and some meat rigs. The meat, one day it's working great out there, and the next day you can drag it around all day and not do nothing. 90 degrees. We only got to 80 today, but the humidity was so high that it was creating puddles on the concrete underneath the awning that we have. 5 nice salmon out of Frankfurt. Were they on Chrome Seeker charters by chance? Or did they go out with the boat across from me? Okay. Yeah, he's across from me. He's a real old timer. He don't do a lot of fishing, but when he gets out, he finds them. So now back to the fishing in Frankfurt. Guys are around the pier heads. Obviously, be real careful going in and out because they're just everywhere. And these dingbats, I'm telling you, they're putting sand pails over their all-around lights. And when you tell them, hey, you can't see, well, it's glare in my eyes, or I don't want people to watch me catching fish because I don't have a million people over here. He'd rather get run over by a 35-foot boat, I guess. But that's the mentality that you got to deal with out there. So just keep that in your mind and operate your boat accordingly, because it isn't just around the pier heads. They're 2 miles out doing the same thing. The little tiny boats that get lost in the waves. Anyways, they're fishing from the bank up to Point Betsy, down to the Herring Hole, or the Arcadia Bluffs, if you will. There's a few coho inside of Platte Bay. Safest way to get to them, in my opinion, if you're not familiar with the area, is launch a small boat in the mouth of the Platte River, drag it across the sandbar, follow the shore toward the north to East Bay, and you're going to stay out from shore, 100 yards or so, and you'll be in 10-25 feet of water in no time. 10 to 15 feet of water. When you see it get to 20, start slowing down to your trolling speed. When you get to 25, start setting lines. You're going to drop to 30 real quick, and then you're still heading on a northward troll, but you're not very far out from shore. You hit that 35 foot, make sure you got all your lines set that you want to be trolling, because you're going to hit a drop off, and that drop off is going to go down at an angle like this. And once you hit that angle, that drop off, I always used to pick up a fish right there. As soon as them lures cleared that drop off, it's like they just sit there and wait for it. And then once you get into, however deep of water you want to be, you're going to turn a little bit and head in towards shore. So you're going to northeasterly direction and just follow the depth that you want, and you'll be able to troll about 2.5 miles, and then you got to make the swing back around. That hole is like a staging area for these fish before they run up the Platte River. And right now they're being held in the Platte River. They can't get past the lower weir, so them fish are going to be in and out of the river constantly. Very seldomly this time of year, it doesn't seem to matter on the weather, will they stay at that pier head or that weir for very long. There's a nice hole there that you'll see fish, but that evening they're shooting back down into the lake, and you can sit there at the mouth of the river and watch them shooting back and forth. I mean, there's guys that shore fish there all the time. So if you want some coho, there is a few kings in there, but most of the guys are getting cohos right now. So Charlevoix, bad weather been keeping the guys in, but when they do get out, they are targeting 60 to 150 feet of water, 50 to 90 feet down, and getting a few kings and cohos on plugs, flies, spoons, greens, blues, and glows. Lake trout action's really slowed up down there, or up that way. They probably moved a little deeper, but if you want lake trout, you're going to have to troll the bottom up there. Got a report from Grand Traverse Bay this week. Some kings have moved into the north end of the bay. That report I got Monday. So by this weekend, with the weather that we had and the wind from the south, and Traverse Bay's always got cold water in it. I don't know why it's like that, but it is. But I'm thinking this weekend it could be good even in front of the Boardman River, right there in Traverse City. I wouldn't be afraid to get up there and try it, by no means. So there's a few guys catching perch there. They won't tell me where. That's a big secret. But I guess watch for little boats fishing for perch, and you'll know where the perch spots are. And if you find them, let me know, please. Okay, I got no report from Harbor Springs. Or Petoskey, really. I was told in Petoskey and Little Traverse Bay, they're catching a few salmon on the north end, same as last week. So, but the guys that I normally get reports from, they didn't even bother fishing this week. The weather was just horrid. Presque Isle, round on the tip now. Fish scattered around between 80 to 170 feet of water. Fish them deep as there is a lot of warm water in the area. Guys are getting a few walleye as well, fishing 50 to 70 feet of water. For the walleye, you're going to want to run your baits 20 to 40 down. For the salmon, you're going to want to be within 15-20 feet of bottom by the sounds of things. Sheboygan, Guys are getting out to fish on the lake and in the Sheboygan River. There is fish in the river. Um, Early mornings and late evenings, and they're catching them on glows and blues, oranges, and green spoons, and then the plugs with some flies. So, but they're calling it an early spawning run up in the Sheboygan River area. I guess they're getting them up by the Sheboygan Dam. If you're not familiar with that area, that's where the lock is. I always caught walleye there myself, but I know it gets a few salmon as well. So, Rogers City, fish are staging off of Swan Bay, but due to the warm water, the bite's slow. So I guess you're graphing a lot of fish, but trying to get them to bite is crazy. Fish early, before light, and then stay late after, way after dark. They're getting them on spoons, they're getting them on flies, a few meat rigs, and J-plugs, and glows and blues are the ticket. They're fishing anywhere from 20 to 120 feet of water, and it's all depths that they're just trying to find some fish. So I wouldn't be afraid to go out there and throw a 3 or 4 color out there, and then adjust your depths accordingly, and depending on how many guys you got in the boat, and 5 or 10 foot increments, and watch for pods of bait fish. Bait fish are a good tattletale to water temperature, and I've always found that where there's bait fish, there's going to be big fish ready to eat them or eat your lure that happens by. Oscoda, a few walleye are being caught in the river near the mouth. No reports of salmon. But I'm going to be honest with you, my experience with Oscoda, and I spent tons of time in the Oscoda area, it's like my second home. There's got to be fish out there. Nobody's just talking about it. I would be trying it out there, and I'd be looking for 120 feet of water, and I'd probably be fishing anywhere from 35 to 85 feet down, depending on the water temperature. Like I said, I don't use a probe, but I go by old school ways, the bait fish, and I got my temperature reading on my Helix. Obviously, it doesn't read by temperature, it just throws a color up there, so I can see the temperature break. I'm still learning that, but so far it's been extremely accurate. When I talk to guys that have a probe, I'll send them a message on my phone, hey, my graph's showing the temperature break at 51, 52 feet. Yep, that's it. And it has been right so far 100% of the time. So that's all I got to go by right now. But like I said, I would definitely be trying Oscoda. Them fish are there. I know they're there. Tawas, walleye bites really slowed down a lot over the past week. Guys are still averaging around 7-8 fish per boat, and the perch have picked up, so they're getting some nice perch now, and they're targeting any kind of weed bed, rock piles, sunken boats you may know of, anything with any kind of structure to it. The perch are going to be hanging around it, and I guess they're pretty hungry, so good time to get out and get yourself a perch for a perch fry. Have no report from Augrey. Saginaw Bay, I have no personal friends down there, but just hearing chit chat, they're getting some fish, but it's spotty. So best bet there is contact local bait shop. Frank's in Linwood or Pinconning. They can probably give you a pretty good fishing report. Okay, Little Bay de Noc. Perch fishing is good throughout the entire bay. Walleye is also good, and they got a few fish showing up around the Ford River mouth area. So they're trolling harnesses and cranks, but they're trolling slow. So I'm assuming they're trolling probably the crankbaits 1.8, 1.9, and crawler harnesses 1.5 to 1.7. Marquette salmon action is okay. Most guys are targeting lake trout though. This just cracked me up. The rest of the UP I don't have reports from. Reason being, all my contacts, they're out playing with bears. They're trying to get ready for bear hunting season. Anyways, one of my contacts told me, and you've got to picture the heavy UP accent, but this was his quote. "This is the UP. We catch the fish because they always biting." That's his report to me. "This is the UP. We catch the fish because they always biting." So I guess you can take that for what it's worth. But I do know in the Detour area, they're getting a mixture of fish. They're getting some walleye, they're getting some sheephead, they're getting some Atlantic salmon. A couple guys caught some pinks. A couple guys caught kings. A couple guys caught cohos. So, what is that? Les Shawnock's Detour area, if I'm not mistaken. I have yet to fish that area for salmon or anything. I normally go up there and try and find some perch. But it might be on my hit list next year. And I started something last week, and I'm going to continue it, and it's a fishing tip. And the fishing tip this week is I see a lot of guys out in their boats with flashlights, or like I do, the LCD lights on that I have going around the outside to charge up your glow lures. Old timer taught me this trick years ago. I had one and I lost it over the side of the boat, and I haven't replaced it yet. But them old camera flashes for the old 35mm cameras, there's a lot of them that you'll find at garage sales and that, and I always forget to pick them up. My own problem. I've probably seen 20 of them this year up for sale. But you'll see them at pawn shops, you'll see them at garage sales for, $5-10. You pop a set of batteries in them and you double flash your lure, flip it over, double flash your lure, and that thing will stay charged for hours. And it's fast. I mean, super fast. But it's a condensed light, and for some reason the lures, they just grab it. So that's the tip for today. Get yourselves an old camera flash, keep it in the boat for charging glow lures. And that is our fishing report for today. So I hope everybody catches some fish out there this weekend. I know I'll be trying tomorrow. And I know I'm going out Sunday because I got a couple of guys that asked me to take them out Sunday, so I'm taking them out. And I'm hoping that we can get into Platte Bay Sunday, but we'll see what the weather's like. I'm not going to venture in there if it's too wavy, and I can't get a wind report for the marine forecast at this point in time. I know tomorrow it's supposed to be fairly decent out, so I'll be out there in the evening. Yeah, if anybody's up in the area and wants to go fishing, just let me know. And you'll notice that I went live from my boat yesterday for a little bit. There's a setting on there, something, I guess it was showing up as private. I'll work on getting that so it does not default to the private setting. Tomorrow I'm planning on taking my laptop out on the boat with me, so I'll be able to use the webcam. And I should be, the way it locks, I should be able to set it up on the back of the one seat, and maybe we can get some live action out there. You probably noticed that I was turning my head a lot, looking forward, backward, and whatnot, and that's because I could hear boat motors in the area that were cruising. I could not see them because of the fog, so I just like to keep a lookout. So I probably looked like I was high on speed or something like that because I was moving so much, but that was a reason for it. When it's foggy like that and you can only see 50 or 100 feet, you kind of pay attention because there's people that just don't care. They think they're invincible. So did anybody else make it out fishing during the week at all? Okay, Sue, that's fine. It's supposed to be 2 foot or less waves. I know the weatherman always lies, so expect 3 foot, but that's fishable. Just bring your Dramamine. If not, I got some on the boat for you. Yeah, it's like your best friend. Yeah, I had the withdrawals just because I couldn't get out last weekend, so I went out yesterday for a little while. I got delayed going out, otherwise I would have been out for more than an hour and 45 minutes because of the fog. When I first got over to the lake, there was small craft advisories, and it was due to the waves and the fog. Although I didn't know the fog was there until I got close to the lake. I couldn't even see the pier heads from where the old car ferry docked. So I was standing there talking to some shore fishermen, and the one lady that fishing with her husband, she said, well, they couldn't see Frankfurt an hour before that, and it was pretty clear then. So she says it is leaving. So I just stayed there and talked with them. And about 6:30ish or so, it started clearing where I could see out into the lake. So I said, the heck with it, I'm going to go out and give it a try. And took the boat out, and it was nice and clear until I got down to Betsy Point. And this wall of fog just coming right at me from the north. Wind's coming out of the south, wall of fog's coming from the north. It was the craziest thing I ever saw. So I wasn't venturing into the bay like that, so I just turned the boat and headed west and got into 75, 80 feet of water and started trolling back to the south. Have a great weekend, Pat. Is it a problem on my end? Let's see here. No, it says the stream is healthy. Excellent status. Excellent connection. So I know we got some bad weather. That was last night, Sue. After I got out of work. That fog got so thick at one point you couldn't see 50 feet. At that point, I'm automatically in troll speed mode because I'm not running over somebody or something. Oh, were you? Yeah, I did get out. I got out for an hour and 45 minutes. I had 4 hits, 3 on my new fly that I tied, and 1 on a spoon. I had a double on at one point, lost both of them, and less than 15 minutes later got the other one, pulled him in on the fly, and then packed up and came in when it was still light out. I was back at the dock before 9 o'clock. But it helped to alleviate that bug a little bit that I had. So I know tomorrow I got to gas up the boat again because the gas pumps are probably gonna be a zoo Saturday afternoon. Once some guys come in from fishing, they're gonna be filling up. There'll probably be a line at the pump. A lot of the guys will be using their boats for the ladies tournament tomorrow, so probably 4 or 5 o'clock it's going to be nuts too. Yeah, I was out in that mess, but not until like 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock I set lines. Actually, it was a little after 7 when I set lines. I think I broke the pier heads at 7 o'clock and then headed to the north. And, we had, like I said, good 4-foot waves, but they were so far apart that it was nice. I was running at 24 miles an hour, so just under half throttle once I got planed off. And I had my window open, the big window open in the front, and I wasn't getting wet, so. A couple of times I got up to 30 miles an hour because I caught the wave right and it gave me a nice shove. But if I find fish tomorrow when I'm out there, I'll definitely be getting on and letting people know. So try to keep updated fishing report for you guys, at least for the areas that I'm fishing. Now I did hear that some salmon that were in the lake, and there was a lot of them in the lake. I seen a bunch of them porpoising and stuff when I was standing talking to that couple, but I guess they shot up river this morning. I guess they were seeing fish up at the Homestead Dam like at 10 o'clock in the morning. So there's a bunch of guys fishing the river off River Road. But I'm not into catching salmon in the river anymore. I like that fight I get out of the big water. I mean, they fight in the river, but it's a different fight. You don't feel the power like you do when you get one to the side of the boat and it decides to dive straight down into 100 feet of water and gets there in about 3 seconds, just zip and drag off. The river, they tend to run for the first log jam they can find, and they're a lot lazier in the river. I've yet to have one make over a 85-90 yard run, where in the river or out in the lake I've had them darn near spool me, and my reels hold 500 yards of line on them. So alright, well, I guess I'm gonna cut this short. And if you're fishing the tournament this weekend, lots of luck to you. I guess keep your phone handy tomorrow so that you can see if there's a up-to-date live fishing report out of Frankfort. Like I said, I'll pass on the information that I physically do myself. If some of the people that are entered in the tournament tell me anything, I won't pass that information on, just out of respect for them during the tournament. But like I said, if it's something that I figure out on my own, I'll definitely pass that on. So in September. Yeah, you should, 8th through the 15th, you should be alright. You should be into some fish. Get a hold of me when you're up here via email. And if the river's not doing good, I'll take you out on a boat. I am planning on pulling the boat a little early this year than previous years. I've always kept it until November, but this year I'm probably going to pull at the end of September and focus on the bow hunting. Even though I don't bow hunt opening weekend, I'll probably get out and shoot some tree rats. It's been a few years since I had a good tree rat fry. And if you guys are bow hunters, it's time to start practicing a little bit. A couple shots here, a couple shots there, start building up. Wouldn't worry about scouting them yet, because everything I'm finding, the bucks are still in their bachelor groups and still in velvet. Probably a couple of weeks out before the bachelor groups start spreading out and you start seeing rubs and scrapes and stuff, getting rid of that velvet. That's usually mid-September is about when that starts, so we're a couple weeks away from that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I got out a few times last year, but the weather was crappy. Every time I was able to make it out, wind was blowing, it was hailing and snow and right into my face, and this wasn't good. Perfect time of year, just horrid weather. And then I didn't have boots that would keep my feet warm, so I ended up leaving in the last 45 minutes shooting hours, which is prime time to be out there, because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to climb out of my damn stand, not being able to feel my feet. I cured that problem, but now I'm just looking forward to getting out there again. And you figure we've got 7 days till the opener of goose season, that early goose season. Yeah, it opens a week from tomorrow. Yeah, I'd be lost without my grinder, because I process my own deer. Everything's completely boneless, and I like straight venison burger. I don't mix it with anything else. If I decide I want patties out of it, normally what I do is I slice up a potato or potatoes, onions, maybe some carrots, salt and pepper, make a venison burger patty, slap it in there with it, wrap it up in tin foil, throw it on the fire. That is the best way to eat a venison burger. And it isn't all busted apart by the time you get to it, because you're not actually touching anything except the tin foil to flip it. And then you can't beat venison burger for spaghetti or chili. It's just amazing, the taste difference. Somebody told me to try tacos, and I might try tacos. I'm not a big taco eater, but I might try venison tacos this year, just for something different. You gotta put some, little cuts of butter in there too. I forgot that ingredient. That's an important ingredient. But yeah, it's just a campfire dinner, but with the burger, with the venison in it, it's really good. And then I make a venison burger hash as well. Basically the same thing, but in the frying pan, and that comes out really good too. And then I'll quick fry in butter and onions, like stew meat chunks, and then I'll throw it in the slow cooker with some cream of mushroom soup, and once in a while I'll add a can of cream of celery soup to it. Just let it simmer all day. Well, I haven't eaten all day, Sue, so you can imagine how I'm feeling right now. But anyways, then I'll come home, make some mashed potatoes, and I'll just scoop that out, pour it over mashed potatoes, and that's eaten. Something about the mushroom soup and venison that go together. I mean, you can use mushroom soup as a base with a lot of things, but the venison, I mean, even the worst cut of meat, as long as you get that tendon out of there, like the lower meat and the front hocks, you just take that tendon out of there, and that meat is so tender, and then it's so good. Oh, I'm making myself hungry now. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream, and everybody have a great week. Tight lines, and hope to hear from everybody soon. And don't forget, I still have that contest going. Send an email to callthewildoutdoors1@gmail.com and get in the drawing. I will have the drawing probably next week if I get enough people entering. If not, the two that are in it, they win the flies or the crankbait. Their choice. But yeah, you could get a custom fly, or you can get a crankbait, because I realize not everybody can troll for salmon and stuff. It is a salmon trolling fly, but they'll have their choice of colors, or they can go with the one that's been hot for me. 3 trips out, 3 fish in the cooler, and 4 more lost. So, and I think it's been down in the water a total of an hour at this point, maybe an hour and a half. So, yesterday was the first day I drug a dip sea in quite a while when I've been out on a boat by myself. So, alright, everybody have a great night, and we'll see you soon.